Hi, welcome to the Spiritual Alchemy, the podcast. Tonight we have Lyn Ross from Mystic Body and Soul Wellness Spa in Modesto, correct? Did I
Yes.
say it right? She's going to talk to us about meditation, mindfulness, chakras, and whatever else comes up.
Yeah.
So, I got a few questions. Since this audience is from the unawakened to the awakened, um, why do we meditate?
Well, one of the first things I'm going to tell you is that meditation is like one of the greatest tools that we have inherent that we can use for ourselves. And it's sad that like 95% of the population doesn't know how to use it. And one of the reasons they don't know how to use it is because they think that they have to be like a monk on top of a mountain and be able to sit for hours in a meditative state. Meditation is a practice, and you don't get there overnight. You have to teach your mind, you have to teach your conscious mind to be able to take a backseat to the subconscious mind, and you have to train it to do that. It doesn't happen overnight. So I learned, in fact, even though I took meditation classes to get certified to teach meditation, I honestly did not learn to meditate until I went into hypnosis classes. And that's where I learned the different levels of the consciousness and what I needed to do to be able to get myself into a meditative state. So now that's how I teach it.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Meditation is a life changer and it's a lifesaver. Absolutely. Um, it's a personal space that you can obtain for yourself that nobody else can penetrate, which is so important to our health, because you know that old thing, stress kills. It's true, stress does kill. And meditation is a tool that you can use absolutely to distress. You can use it for pain relief. You can use it to find clarity and answers that you're looking for when you're able to get into a really prolonged meditative state. And it takes a couple of months of practicing the way I teach it to be able to get to that level. And a lot of times people get very scared when they get to that level because they have a sense that maybe they won't come back, but you can't always come back, and then you ground yourself and you learn how to do that and all the tools. But you really want to get to where you're connecting with your own higher self, because that's where the answers are. That's where the clarity is. That's where you connect to your soul and everything that your soul has experienced and may have to offer you in this life, and as far as guidance and direction.
Okay. A lot of people, I don't think they are meditating because they feel that it's this hard line. You have to be sitting in this, certain position and, to do meditation. And from what I understand, there's 101 ways plus to meditate.
Right, there is. And, some people say, well, when I pray, I'm meditating. Um, you're really not, though, because meditation, to get into a practice of meditation, is really to be able to get deep inside um, yourself. And to be able to do that, you've got to quiet yourself in a way and quiet the conscious mind and teach the subconscious mind to come in so that you can get to that level of consciousness that you need to. Now, what I found, most of my clients tell me, I can't meditate because I can't shut my mind off. That's the biggest thing that I hear from people. And the thing is, you will never shut your mind off, even in death. Our consciousness is with us, even when we have our physical body has died and we are beginning transcendence into that next realm. our consciousness oftentimes can stay with us for 30 minutes to an hour. That's when you hear about people saying that they saw themselves floating over themselves. They saw everybody in the room, because even when the body dies, the consciousness is still very aware. So teaching, you're never going to quiet that mind. So you got to teach the conscious mind. That's our right now mind, our everyday mind, the mind that always wants to be in control. You got to teach that to quiet. You got to teach it to quiet so that you can start learning the practice of meditation. And it's not always easy, but the way I teach it, anybody can learn it and be successful at it within 60 days. The key is you have to do your work. You have to do the practice, or you won't get there.
It's a lot like hypnosis then, would you say?
It's kind of a little bit, I think it's a little bit like self-hypnosis. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's, okay.
But you just go into it, you go into a different state of consciousness.
How does somebody know that they've gone to that state? I mean, I know it's a hard question to answer.
It's a hard question, but you know. But you know when you're there. Mm-hmm. You know when you're there.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know that you do guided meditations.
I do. I teach meditation, but I also do. I write and produce my own guided meditations, and I do that because it's the easiest way to learn to meditate is by using a guided meditation to start off with, and that's how I teach my students to start off with a guided meditation for 30 days. So every day they're listening to one of my guided meditations or another one. There's a million and one of them out there. And then the next 30 days, they listen to just some music like a deep sleep music or like my enchanted sleep, where it's just some very calm music that you really don't connect to. It's just kind of a background in the background that helps relax you and calm you so you can go into that meditative state a lot easier. Some people can actually sit in total silence. I can do that now and then, but my conscious mind wants to start taking back over. So I use the music a lot. And I'm very successful with the music. And I can stay in a meditative state 45 minutes to an hour, just depending on what I am trying to accomplish for myself that day, whether it's relieving stress or just finding some answers to some things that are bothering me. Or maybe writing a new meditation. I ask the universe to just guide me to what I need to be working on right now. And so that's what I do in my meditations.
And so I want to direct people to your meditations. Is it under your name on YouTube?
Yes. If you go to youtube.com, it's under Lyn Ross, LYNROSS. And then just comma, and you can put in chakra or forgiveness. It may just come up with Lyn Ross now. I haven't looked in a long time, but all of them will come up if you put in Lyn Ross, chakra.
Okay. All right. And okay, so do you have anything to add about meditations or?
Well, like I said, just, people don't realize that it's the greatest tool in their box. It's the greatest tool that you have been born with that so many people don't use. And it just offers so many benefits to us and help keeping us healthy. I truly believe that we come into this physical body with the ability to heal ourselves, short of breaking a bone and having it set or whatever. But if they started teaching children to meditate at kindergarten,
Or before?
What a tool to help them deal with the stresses of school and bullying. And it's a place they can go. Like I said, it's their own private special place that they can go within themselves, that they don't have to share with anybody, to calm themselves, to reassure themselves, to step away from bullying and the pressures of school and friends.
Or even
It's just
home
a
life.
great tool.
Even home life for children.
Even home life. Sometimes home life is extremely stressful, and a lot of times school is a refuge for a lot of children who have a rough home life. But being able to meditate and them just go in their room and quietly just go into themselves and deal with whatever they need to deal with, and release that is just there's no words for how powerful that tool is. And it's a tool, once they learn it, they can use the rest of their life. And it's a known fact, people who are positive tend to be healthier. People who have a lot of stress or dealing with a lot of emotional pains and traumas, it absolutely makes you sick. So if you teach a child early on this tool, it's going to benefit them their whole life.
I have a question. My case is a little bit different than some people, but I have a feeling that there's a lot more stories out there like mine that people are unaware of. So I personally have a lot of subconscious emotional pain that I am disconnected from because I was hypnotized to forget things that happened to me. And that's a little barrier to get through. I don't know where I'm going with this, but
well, you have to, what I would recommend in that case, you don't hear about that a lot. Thank goodness though, but is to be able to go into that meditative state, and on your entry of that, ask your consciousness to share with you anything that you need to know, or anything that has been hidden from you. And you put the question, this is what you're seeking. And when you get to that level of consciousness where you're connecting with your soul's guidance, then that's where you're going to find that clarity and the answers to those questions. It's a deep journey though, Julie.
I know. There's some things I need to get, and it's not just for me. It's for other people in the world that probably have a very similar story to mine. So let's move on to mindfulness, and how is that different than meditation?
Mindfulness is being present. It's being right here, being present in this moment, not worrying about tomorrow, not worrying about what happened last week or 10 years ago, what's going on in the past in any way. Mindfulness is being very present right now, here and now, and what this moment has to offer you. And everything that you can get out of this moment, and not be worrying about 5 minutes from now or 10 minutes ago. It's just being very present with yourself.
Do you teach mindfulness classes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You do?
Along with the meditation. Yeah.
So it's more of like a conscious meditation in a sense.
It's like a conscious, it's a conscious, really a conscious wanting to be right here in this moment, and almost a cognitive behavior practice to not worry about 10 minutes from now, not worry about 15 minutes ago, because certainly you can't do anything about either. We can't control the future necessarily, and we control our own actions, but we certainly can't change the past either. So, being aware of that, and just teaching yourself to be present in a very positive state is always going to be healthier for you than dwelling on the past. And the other thing is, as we go through life, and events and painful experiences and traumas imprint on us, we cannot heal from those events and traumas unless we are in the present tense. If you're holding on to the past, you're not going to heal. You're not going to heal. And those pains and traumas, they just progressively make us sicker and sicker and sicker. And if you don't learn to release, you don't learn to let go, you don't learn to forgive, you live in the past, you're going to just continually to get sick.
Yeah, I totally agree. But once you start healing, it goes, it sheds
Once
away.
you start healing, oh yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And it doesn't happen overnight. A lot of my coaching clients that I work with that have a lot of emotional trauma, forgiveness issues, you got to start somewhere letting those things go. And it may take you doing it every week for 9 months. But every time you do it, every time you go through the process of letting go and releasing and forgiving, um, a little bit leaves you, a little bit more leaves you, and a little bit more leaves you. And eventually you don't feel that pain and that burden from
Yeah,
that
and you're
event.
happier and happier and happier and happier.
Yeah. You feel lighter and you feel
I'll
better. You feel
testify to
safer.
that.
You're able to love deeper and just enjoy life so much more than if you're hanging on to all of that burden. It's like our heart is like this little closet. And especially women, we have a tendency to just bury it and bury it and bury it and try to pretend it didn't happen, try to pretend it didn't hurt us. And we just fill that heart closet so full of negative, bad experiences that pretty soon there's no room for the love and good experiences. And then when it gets to that point, you really are feeling it. You're really feeling sick and you're feeling weighed down. So you gotta let go of these things. We never forgive for the other person. Never. We always forgive for ourselves to
Right.
heal and be able to move on.
Because we have no control over them. We have control over us.
No. But you always hope that maybe they'll let go of their issues because everything happens because of our history. We come into this life um, just a beautiful spirit. We do have past life experiences that we sometimes bring in with us, but it's what happens to us from the time that we come into this earth, those constant imprints. We're lucky. If we're lucky, we have a great childhood and we move into a great adolescence, and our teenage years are fun, and life is Ozzie and Harriet and full of roses. But more often than not, it's not that way for most of us. And we have experienced traumas along the way. Well, your body doesn't forget those traumas. Your body does not forget those experiences and those pains. They imprint on us, and what they do is they start um, controlling and directing our feelings and our decisions. And if something happens that's even remotely close to one of those painful events or traumas, then we're going to react in the same way that maybe that very first trauma affected us. So it really does control and direct a lot of your life and the decisions that you make in your life if you don't let go and learn to heal from those events.
Next time I throw you a hard ball. How about past lives coming into the play with this?
Well, most of us have lived many lives. And reincarnation has been proven. A lot of people still don't believe it, but reincarnation has been proven. It's been scientifically proven. So, and I know for myself that I've lived many lives. I have so many deja vu moments and have my whole life. And ironically, my own son, when he was 5 years old, had a strange conversation with me in the car one day, and told me that he had been someplace. And I said, "No, son, you've never been there." And he said, "I have, Mom." And he started describing it to me. And I stopped my car, and couldn't believe really what he was saying to me, even though I know that this, happens, and we all live, lives and reincarnate. It was just, it was startling to hear my 5-year-old talk about that. So,
Right.
um, but that's how they've discovered um, reincarnation is children come into the life with those past life memories. And they may have been like a soldier and had died a really brutal death, and um, they come into this life, and they're this new little person, but they've still got this past. And we remember that when we come in, we have all knowledge when we come in, but we are transitioned and conditioned and socialized, and all of that knowing leaves us,
Right.
which is so unfortunate, you know. But then when we cross over, it all comes back.
So we bringing that past life trauma with us.
We can. Sure, we can. Yep.
I know you deal with this in your business, right?
I do energy work. You know, I do chakra cleansing and balancing, and I'm intuitive. So when I do chakra cleansing and balancing, if there's something my client needs to heal from, if they've got, if they were sexually molested, abused as a child, they were abandoned as a child, they've got some pain that they haven't dealt with and haven't released. Usually that is shared with me. And like I tell my clients, I don't know where that information comes from. I'm simply a vessel. It comes to me in a lot of ways. It comes to me in visions and colors and words, sometimes as feelings. As long as I've been doing this now, it's still really unnerving for me sometimes. But you can come in with past lives. And I've actually been able to see some of my clients when I'm working on their chakra cleansing and balancing, because we keep the same chakras, no matter how many past lives that we live, or present lives that we come into. So the chakras have the memory of those past lives, and I've been able to see that. Ironically, one that just comes to mind right now is a nurse that I was working on, and she had also been a nurse in her previous past lives, and which I thought was really crazy. And then I had another who was a teacher, and I saw that she had lived, you know, in the late 1700s. She was in a wagon, and she was coming from the east to the west to teach. And that's what she was doing in her present life. Yeah. So those kind of things are not always shown to me. Usually it's just something that they need to heal from. But I've even had family members of my clients who have crossed over be present in the room, and that was really crazy and nerving for me when that happened. I was like, I'm like, what is this? And
I've been on the
I
table.
learned. Huh?
I've been on your table. You told me the story. They'll just kind of like wave.
So if they've been crossed over a long time, they'll appear kind of as a gray shadowy kind of person. If they have just recently passed, and I just learned this by, you know, the process of being with people who have just passed, and people who have long been passed. If they've just recently crossed over, they appear in these bright kind of crystal prisms, which is, and I don't know why the difference. I don't know if they still have like a physical energy about them still.
Is it maybe their chakras showing?
It's not their chakras. No, it's not coming from the chakra portals. It's the whole embodiment. So, like I said, if they've been crossed over, they've been deceased for some time, they'll be kind of a shadowy gray. If they have just recently crossed over, they're a bright crystal prism. And I don't know if other intuitives or energy workers see them the same way. I don't know. Maybe we all see them different. I don't know. But that's how they appear to me. And they don't ever talk, you know. Once in a while, I can feel what they're saying. In one particular incident, a gentleman had his life had ended, his physical life had ended, you know, quite violent, and he had made a lot of mistakes. And I kept hearing, you know, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? And feeling his remorse that, you know, he had made some really bad mistakes. But they don't ever, you know, sometimes like they'll wave just give me a little, just like, okay, okay, I know you're here. I don't know if I'm liking it or not, but I had a really interesting session with a young man. And of course, when I have a session with somebody, I don't know anything about them but their name and their phone number. I don't ask them anything. I don't want to know anything because I don't want any preconceived ideas. And so I had this young man, and this was actually the very that like an apparition appeared in the room with me. And I knew instinctively that it was this young man's father. And he just stood there very intent, but I could feel that he was around this young man a lot. He was kind of like his little guardian angel, and then I found out through the session with the young man that his father had died from a drug overdose when his mother was still pregnant with him, so he never knew his dad. He never got to meet his dad. So that was all very interesting. And how, because sometimes when you're doing this, you still question yourself, you're like, how do I know this? I mean,
right.
Why am I just thinking this in my head, or where is this coming from? And this was years ago. So I had just started, having this gift, if that's what you want to call it.
And you still do this to this day. You're still like going,
yeah.
What did that
You're breaking up. I hope
it's
not my phone. You're okay. So yeah, I still do this. I do chakra cleansing and balancing, and that's all incorporated in it. But I limit myself now. I used to do, maybe one a day. So I would do, 5 or 6 a week. But now I'm older. It affects me a little bit more. Even though I feel like I'm a lot more experienced at it now. It just affects me energetically a lot more. So I don't know. It seems like people just have so much now on them, so much that they hold on to, so much negativity they hold on to, and things that have happened to them. So I limit myself to, maybe 3 a week now. So I don't get too tired.
So basically, with the past life thing, it's just if it comes up, then that's what needs to be dealt with at the time.
Right. And, if it comes up, then it's something that needs to be dealt with. And I've had a couple of sessions where, there was stuff in the past life that they really needed to not acknowledge, not that they can do anything about, but they really needed to acknowledge it because it was affecting their current life. And most of the time when I see that, it's usually some kind of abuse or some kind of an addiction issue. And a lot of times if they had an addiction issue in a past life, a lot of times they'll bring that present in their current life. And I'm not sure why that is.
It could just be a pattern behavior that.
Well, it could be, or it could be that something has happened, in one of their lives that was so devastating for them that, because most people who have addiction issues, most of those issues come from fear. They're fear-based. They don't feel good enough, or they're just afraid of not being able to handle life, do what they need to do, meeting other people's expectations of them, or even their own expectations of themselves. But most addiction is fear-based. So when you have someone who has had a previous addiction and then comes into a current life and has an addiction, there's something there that has happened. And that person has really, to be successful at healing from that, they have to go into a past life regression and find out what has happened that has traumatized them so deeply that they can't let go of it.
Interesting. So our next topic is chakras. And for a time, I kind of practice like you practice. I don't really want to know a lot. I don't even necessarily want somebody's intentions when they come into a session with me. I'll take them and I'll focus on it. There for a while, I don't know why this is crackling.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time understanding you.
Okay. Sounds like someone's clicking.
So we're talking about chakras.
Chakras. For a short time, I just stopped dealing with the chakras on clients, and I just went for the problem. If I saw the problem, I'm gonna have a problem with my client, and just leave the chakras alone, especially if they're like new to it. I felt like they needed.
Sometimes the problem is the chakras, though. Sometimes they're so blocked and not vibrating right, not turning the right way. A lot of times the chakras is the problem. I know I have a lot of people that call me and ask me if I do Reiki and tell me, yeah, I do Reiki, but you may not need Reiki. For me, Reiki is a very specific problem, physical problem. If you got a very specific physical problem, then, that's when I do Reiki. But most of the time people just need, a good chakra cleansing and balancing, because number one, they've probably never had it done.
Right.
Especially now today, there's so much negativity. Everybody listens to all this horrible news, and we're tribal. We're tribal people, and we were never meant to be exposed to everything that happens all over the world. We're meant to be dealing with our tribe, our tribe of people, our intimate family, and maybe some close friends around there. So with technology has come this, this really huge, just like a sinkhole of negativity and fear, because we're exposed to so much and we hear so much. It creates fear in us, and overwhelming, and confusion, frustration, creates all these feelings. And when you start feeling all kinds of negative like that, it immediately starts blocking the chakras, because most people are not working on clearing their own chakras out, staying positive, eating healthy, meditating, working at clearing that stuff out. So, kind of like the heart closet, and it gets so full of the negative. That's what happens to our chakras. They're so full. And then again, just like what I was talking about, how the pains and traumas imprint on us and make us sick, same thing with the chakras. Your chakras are full of all this negative stuff, and then you don't take care of it, and it starts wearing on your body, especially in the solar plexus, because a lot of women have dealt with abuse and neglect, and just lack of support from the men in their life. And usually that starts from the relationship they had with their father. Their father was emotionally unavailable, so then they tend to pick men throughout their life that are emotionally unavailable. So it just keeps whacking at that solar plexus chakra. And then especially if they've been like abused, sexually, mentally, physically, verbally abused in their childhood, then their personal power is taken away from them. They feel like they have no control of their life. So again, they start making really bad decisions for themselves, and keep choosing men who abuse them, and emotionally not available. But what that does to the chakra, or the solar plexus, is it really starts taking a toll on the liver and the pancreas, and you start seeing some real serious health problems from that.
Exactly. What a question. I'm like, what? So I went back to working on chakras, and I really feel that they're very important now, and the aura system as well. I'm actually working with somebody that's recalibrating my chakras and clearing out my aura, and it's actually a lot of past life stuff's coming up. So it's really interesting. But you know, a lot of people have problems with their lower back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the sacral chakra, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's finances, security, stability. A lot of people don't know how the chakras translate to our emotions. I know when I come to see you, you have a sheet, and when you do a session, you've got what you've gotten as messages to focus on through the chakra.
Right. Are you talking about like the sheet that explains, you know, if the chakras are right or if they're wrong, if they're rotating right? It's kind of a little cheat sheet.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so yeah, I think we all have those because you can't remember every single thing about each chakra. You know, I kind of know, you know, a little bit about each one because you see the same thing over and over again in a lot of people. So of course that's what you learn because we're creatures of habit. But there's still, I mean, I have books and books on chakras because I just trying to understand them more. And you know, be able to help my clients more, you know, not with the main chakras, but with the back chakras and, you know, all the other little chakras. But most people work with just the main chakras. So did I get off your question?
Yeah. I think that's like a more in-depth show than what we do right now. I know. What was I gonna say? Do you work with? Do you use Louise Hayes? She does. I work with the organs too, so I'll pick up different. You know, like with the heart. Say someone comes in and because I'm empathic, I get like I feel like, oh wait, this is grief. Is that heartache? So you have to like bounce it off your client, like what's going on here? Because I'm picking something up, and then they'll tell you. You know, like I know with the liver, it's going to be anger, right? Anger.
Well, not necessarily anger. Also, with your liver, it can loss of your personal power, feeling lack of control in your life. Those are two things that really affect the liver because they really affect the solar plexus.
So you do pick up the organs when you're working on somebody, and
I do pick up. I don't always pick up the organs. It just kind of depends on what's going on. You know, sometimes I can feel, you know, something in their stomach, sometimes in the liver and the pancreas. It just kind of depends on what's going on with them, you know. And sometimes like I can, you know, depending on what's going on with them, it can make me feel really nauseated. Like I was telling you a little bit earlier, just at the beginning,
right.
before we went on, I was doing a chakra cleansing and balancing on a nurse who dealt with primarily hospice patients. Now, I didn't know this about her. I didn't even know she was a nurse. I don't ask my clients anything. So, but the second I started working on her, the second I put my hands around the top of her head, I started feeling so sick to my stomach, so nauseated. And as I was continuing to work through her, you know, just, you know, picking up in the heart chakra, there was just so much despair, loneliness, fear, but the despair was so heavy. It just, it affected me so badly. And then I had to literally leave the room, and it was the first and only time that ever happened to me like that. I had to leave the room and go be sick in the bathroom. And anyway, long story short, I found out, you know, because when I do a chakra cleansing and balancing, I write everything down that comes to me. I don't ask my clients anything. We do not have any conversation during my sessions. I write everything down. And then that comes to me and is shared with me. And then I go over that with them after my chakra cleansing and balancing with them. And I just simply ask, tell them what was shared with me. And I ask them, do you connect with any or all of this? And they'll say, yes or no. Rarely, I don't think I've ever had anybody say no, but, and then sometimes they'll go into a little bit more detail about it. But usually I have pretty much all the details of it. They don't have to say too much other than just, yeah, all of that's true,
You're basically getting validation of what information you got.
You're right. And that's all, and that just helps me give them some tools to be able to start healing from some of the stuff, so that, they can improve their life and make better decisions and feel happier and ultimately be healthier in their life. And I tell them, this is your only life, is Julie. You need to make it the best it can be. We're supposed to be happy and joyful in these lives, but there's so much, we're so socialized and conditioned to not be happy. It's almost like we have a bias to negativity. People just tend to want to jump on that negativity wagon instead of choosing happiness. Choose happiness, choose to be healthy, choose to live the best life that you can live. Why would you not want that for yourself? So I try to give them tools to be able to begin to release a lot of this stuff and heal. And so when they leave me, they have, had a conversation. They not only are their chakras cleansed and balanced, most of the time, once in a while, I get one and I just can't completely clear out. And that's because they just won't let go. They just won't let go of it. But when they leave me, they have, the chakras cleansed and balanced, and they have validation. They've been able to talk about, because sometimes we bury this stuff so deep that it just doesn't seem right to be able to bring it up. So people are fearful, they're apprehensive, they just don't want to think about this stuff. But when you point out how sick it's going to make them, how sick it's making them, then they really start looking at, okay, maybe I need to be doing something a little bit different. So then they can talk about it a little bit, and it really gives them some validation of what they've gone through, and hope and tools that they can use moving forward, to try and better improve their lives.
Oh yeah. So let's bring it back around, because we're probably going to cut this short, but how about, is meditation the best thing that they can do to clean out their chakras themselves?
No, it's meditation is not going to be the only thing they need to do. They need to meditate. I recommend, using some stones, eating healthy, letting go of the things you need to let go of. That's really the first thing before you even start meditating, unless you're going to release and let go through meditation. You can do it in a number of ways. You can write the events down on a piece of paper and burn them in a safe burn dish. When they cool, just throw the ashes into the universe and just say, and I really encourage my clients to empower themselves with the words, I choose. I choose to let this go. I choose to heal from this. I choose not to carry this in me anymore. And then throw those ashes into the universe and let it go. And like I said, you may have to do that once a week for a year. It may take only 2 months of doing that before you can let it go. But you can also do that in meditation. Once you get to a point where you're really comfortable and you can kind of dive into that deeper consciousness, then you can pull those pains up. You can pull those events up. And what I do when I'm dealing with that is I pull them up and I just see them explode. And I use those words, I choose to let this go. I choose not to carry this on me or in me anymore. I choose to heal from this, and I let it go. And I see it as like gray ash leaving my body. just floating away from my body. And so those are just 2 ways you can do it. I'm sure there's probably more, but I think they're the 2 that have been the most effective for me and my clients. And, like I said, using some stones, you get some crystals, make sure they're cleansed and charged. And, you can have a little bowl of crystals sitting there and you can hold them, or some mala beads that are, oh, I'm sorry, my old mind is not thinking right now. The mala meditation prayer beads, they're usually Amazonite. They come in some different colors. They're really good at cleansing and bringing the spirit to a balanced place, healing. So holding some of those mala beads or some crystals when you're doing this is going to be really helpful too.
Okay, I do journaling. I used to do journaling. I don't have time for that. I go outside. Well, we've got about 15 minutes left. Is there anything that you wanted to add to?
I don't know. I guess not. I think we really covered a lot of stuff, probably more than most people can absorb in a session. Just, I'm available to talk to people if they want to contact me or have a session. Just, know that if you call, it may be 2 or 3 weeks before you can actually get in with me, whether it's a chakra cleansing or balancing or a coaching session, if they have something that they need to work through. But my meditations, I have, several guided meditations on YouTube. There's forgiveness. So a lot of people can just go and listen to those meditations, and that they're going to guide them to letting go or healing. Or I have one, finding courage, especially in today. We are living in such uncertain, fearful times that people feel like they don't have the courage and just don't have the bravery that it's going to take to stay in this fight for what's happening to our society. So there's one on finding courage, and then the chakra cleansing and balancing, which is my most popular. It's ironic that that has been my most popular also in Australia and New Zealand. And ironically, the finding courage and thought energy became my most popular in the USA when the pandemic hit, which I thought was kind of interesting. But they're available throughout the whole world. So I always love looking at the numbers to see who's listening in what countries and how many people are listening. I just find that so exciting that people all over the world can find these and listen to them as they need them. They can download them. They can, stream them. You can buy the CDs. You can listen on YouTube for free.
You're on iTunes, right?
Uh-huh.
iTunes. Okay.
Yeah, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Target Music, Amazon Music. Oh my God, there's like 150 things that's available where they're available. I don't even know them all. And then I'm also on some podcasts like Spreaker. Is it Spreaker? In some of the podcast forums where you can go in and listen to different podcasts. They're available on there too. So
okay. You mentioned coaching sessions. What type of coaching sessions do you do?
I'm on the darker side of coaching, and what they say is the darker side of coaching. So I deal with emotional trauma. I deal with addiction. I deal with stress, people who are extremely stressed. And so I have, a lot of meditations, guided meditations for all that. But one thing that I do that is kind of interesting, it's kind of a new thing. Not too many people do it, is that I do end of life coaching. And so I am with somebody, usually it's a family member, it's usually one of my clients that comes to me, and then they have a family member that is either terminal, something's going on that they're having to be facing the end of their life. And I do have a guided meditation for that. It's called Transcendence. that's another thing I got a little bit more into. So it kind of has taken my time away from the chakra cleansing and balancing. Now, when the pandemic hit, I haven't been able to do that because they don't let you go to the hospitals, which is so unfortunate because so many people have died over this pandemic and they had to die alone, which is the most horrible thing. But it's so beneficial um, for that person who is facing the end of their life, because family members, there's so much emotion involved. You know, family members are having to deal with their own grief and their own loss. Um, they really don't know how to talk to that family member that's facing the end of their life. Um, like I said, they're dealing with their own life. Usually the person that is facing the end of their life does not want to burden their family with their thoughts, their fears, their anxiety. Um, so that's where I step in and I get to know them and I spend time with them and basically just guide them to being able to cross over and transcend in a more peaceful, calm, relaxed way. And that's where the guided meditation comes in, because as they get closer and closer to that moment of transcending, of course, the more frightened they get. Um, so being able to listen that meditation anytime they want is so beneficial. And I just have had such good responses from family members and people that I have taken to the point of transcendence. And it's also, you know, it's an emotional, it's like, you know, like energy work. It's a very emotional, taxing thing to do, but it's also extremely rewarding, extremely rewarding. So
That's fascinating. I don't think I want to get into that, but that's just an awesome thing you're
well,
doing.
I didn't plan on getting into it. I actually I got accidentally thrown into it. Um, but I immediately saw the benefit of it the first time that I did it, and I just couldn't walk away from it at that point. I had to be able to help people if they needed it. So, and now I was seeing on Facebook, there's there was a lady who posted something about it, and they actually called them doulas. They had there used to be like birthing doulas, where
Right.
they would go in and help people have their babies, and they were called birthing doulas. Well, now they have like end of life doulas. So I guess other people are kind of catching on to this. I don't call myself a doula. I just call myself a coach, um, because I feel like I'm simply guiding them. You know, I'm guiding them to be able to take this next step into the next journey for them, um, as painlessly, emotionally, um, as I can. And that's the thing that hospitals don't deal with. Excuse me. Hospitals and hospice deal with the physical pain. They do not deal with the emotional, the mental, um, or the consciousness. All they deal with is the physical and giving them pain meds. You know, they don't deal with the practical. You know, the having to deal with the practical knowing of dying and being ready for that. Um, they don't deal with any of that. So those are all things that are just left hanging out there. You know, the person is on pain meds if they're terminal from cancer. They're on pain meds, but nobody is dealing with the emotional part of this person that they're dealing with, or the mental part, or the practical part, and preparing them for what is coming, you know, preparing them for the next step, the next leg of their journey. Um, and that is so sad, because it's actually, you know, a lot of people see that as a very sad time, and it is sad that you're losing that physical person, but you will never lose the spirit of that person. That's the spirit, the soul lives on, it's infinite. And people need to remember that, and, you know, celebrate the time they had with this person, help them celebrate their life, um, encourage them that there is so much more. They're only leaving their family for a short time, you know. um, for me, Joseph Martin um, said to me one time, he said, you know, they're getting on the bus to Disneyland. and people don't even realize that they're just about to get on the bus to Disneyland, to like the heaven Disneyland. And it's the truth. But we're so conditioned in this life that death is such a horrible thing, from the time that we're born, death is bad, it's sad, it's horrible. People don't talk about it, but it's not a horrible thing. It simply is a new journey. It's a new leg. It's another leg of our existence, of our soul. And people need to enjoy life as much as they can when they're here, but they also need to prepare themselves for that next leg, because it's going to come to our physical is shorter for some than others, and no matter how long you live, it's too short. But being able to practically, emotionally, mentally, along with physically prepare for that end of life is the best thing that you could do for a family member, to help them do that, help them transition.
I would have to agree. I mean, I had a couple grandparents on hospice, and well, my grandmother, she accepted the chaplain to come in and speak with her. She was a little bit more religious, but I see a lot of people will reject that type of help.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of not really the same kind of thing.
It's not, because it really isn't preparing them and helping them emotionally. A pastor comes in, he says some prayers, but he's not sitting there hours with them and talking to them about their fears. And a lot of people think, they did some bad stuff in their life, that they're probably going to go to hell. They want to talk about that.
Right.
They want to be reassured they're not going to hell. And it's just a different thing. I've had family members say, well, they can talk to me. That's my mom. I love her. She can talk to me. But the chances are she's not going to, because that they just don't want to burden. And it's difficult. It's difficult for them to talk about the things in their life that they want to get off their chest to their children or anybody that they're really close to. They just are not comfortable with that. It's so much easier to talk to a stranger that you feel comfortable with than to talk to a family member.
Right.
I know I've done some things in my life I wouldn't want my kids to know.
I think I've already put it out there all for my kids.
It's like, okay, that was my part of my life they don't need to know about.
Oh boy.
But it is a huge thing, and it's something that more people should think about in helping. I know when my last brother that passed away, and he was on hospice, and I can tell you what, that was the most horrible thing I ever experienced in my life. I have been really lucky that my family members that had crossed over quickly. I didn't have to. It was the first time I've had to deal with hospice. And I literally watched my brother turn into a mummy in front of all of his family and grandkids and kids. It was the most horrific thing I ever experienced in my life. And personally, that will never happen to me. It just feed them full of pain pills or, morphine or whatever, and no food, no water, nothing. Just let them just completely deteriorate and mummify in a bed. Is like, to me, that is the most horrible thing in the world. How could anybody want their loved one to go through something like that? And he was conscious. Mm-hmm. He was conscious and able to answer for many days in that condition, and is beyond.
I'm sorry.
Well, and thank you. I appreciate that. But my point being that hospice is not the all answer.
Right.
Putting a family member in hospice care is not the all answer, because they suffer. They're suffering. They think, well, they got pain meds, they're out of it. The pain. No. Their consciousness is right there.
Right.
Their consciousness is present.
Right.
The body may be deteriorating, but they're very conscious of what's happening.
Oh yeah. I scolded some caregivers because I'm like, she can hear you. She can still hear you.
Yeah, and the hearing is the hearing is the last to go, but the consciousness, like I said, lingers long after the physical body has actually died. So, people just they're not aware of that. They don't acknowledge that. And it's something that definitely needs to change in our country and help our, elders, cross over in just the best way possible with support and love. Nobody should be dying alone. And, especially in that kind of condition, just left and shot full of pain medicine and just left to die. It's horrible.
I hate to leave it on that kind of note, but
I know, right?
Sorry. It's all right.
You're wrecking this thing. We should have talked about that first.
Now we got to go cleanse. Go see Lyn Ross at Mystic Body and Soul Wellness Spa in Modesto and visit her guided meditations on YouTube and anywhere you can find them, please. Next week, I have Stephen Prost, author of 9 Days to Atlanta. I enjoyed this very much, so it's going to be a treat to have him on next week. And thank you all for watching tonight.
Thank you, Julie.
Okay.